Hello. Whoa! Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's me. It's me. It's same guy, same tattoos, same one-eyed wolf pendant, same crazy look in the eye. I'm just taking a casual day today. And yeah, I shaved. Why did I shave? Well, because I fucking felt like it. We'll talk about that some other time. I'm unpredictable, okay? Just gotta roll with it. That's just part of who I am. But welcome back to the channel for story time, for Rainbow Farm story time, whatever the fuck I titled this video. I'm a little stoned. And I am enjoying the crap out of this weather. Although it is a little warm, so I'm gonna have to take off all my robes. Sorry, freaking. I saw a TikTok earlier today of that song. It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. But it wasn't that song. It was an entire choir of senior citizens singing that, but take off all your robes. It was hilarious. And that's all it was. I don't know if it was edited to be that way or if they were actually singing that and it was another one of those times where Christians like to take a very secular song and try and make something spiritual out of it. It's Christians, for your own sake, please don't do that. It's not wise. All you do is make the rest of us laugh at you. The only people who enjoy that stuff are other Christians. Because those of us who know how the original songs go are dying of laughter. Just saying. So save yourself some face and stick to writing original Christian songs. Because you guys do actually make some wonderful original Christian music, I gotta say. We're not talking about that today, though. I'm just stoned a little. And yes, today we are talking about Rainbow Farms. I am thirsty. So if you have a drink or some weed, or both, by all means, join me. I'm going to do my best to make these stories as quick and concise, but also as fun and loose as possible. Because we don't want to rush having a good time, now do we? But we don't want to sit here all day either, do we? We're good. I thought I was thinking that. Twisted tea, not bad. Alright, so let's talk about Rainbow Farms and my connection with them. Now that I've got my weed and my alcoholic beverage. So it started a few years ago. Can't remember exactly which year. Details can be figured out later. I want to say 3 years ago. I was getting into. Let's see. I had broken up with my ex who had been a witch. I think I mentioned that on here before. Yeah, I have. But I had broken up with her, and I was getting into. Well, I was getting into. I was. The universe was getting into me. I was realizing that the supernatural was real. I was seeing stuff that kept coming up, and I was learning to take it, the right level of seriousness and such. I was starting to learn. I wasn't into tarot cards yet. Um, I had a, I, no, I was. I officially was. I just wasn't. I hadn't started practicing with them yet. I had a couple of decks at the time, but I was still super new to it all. And I was trying to learn this stuff on my own because as a self-professing skeptic, taking things one step at a time, got to be careful. So I was always trying to look for advice from other people who had been studying this stuff longer than I have, because didn't want to make mistakes at it and stuff like that. I was in a witches group on Facebook, local to Michigan. Why am I spilling beer? This is unusual. Maybe I'm just drinking it out the wrong side. No, I'm good. And while in this group, kind of out of the blue, because I hadn't really talked to this person before, but I guess it was because they had seen my posts and questions and stuff, and I don't know what exactly prompted them, but they messaged me, and we're not even in contact anymore. It was for that short of a period of time, but they told me, like, in our brief time of talking and getting to know each other online, we became, like, acquaintance friends, and they invited me to this place called Rainbow Farms and told me a little bit about it, and how it's pro weed, pro LGBTQ, and generally good, chill, relaxed time and all that, and so I thought, it was almost kind of like, very, very hippie vibe type of thing. And I'd always wanted to go to one of those things. Never been to one. Never been to a Burning Man yet. It's on my bucket list. But I always wanted to go to one of those things like that. And this sounded a lot like that. Or like maybe a little more chill version of that. More chill version? Does that exist? But so I decided, heck, why not? I'll go. So I was and no one else could go with me because we're not all made of money. My family and friends, and this was literally the only person I knew that I was going to see there. And unfortunately, things didn't work out to where that person and I were able to hang out during any of the time at the Rainbow Farms weekend thing. I think it was in August when it happened. That is significant to the next story after this one. But so I went there, and I basically ended up being, because I was much more introverted than I am now. So doing a lot of self-work on myself. That was redundant. But so I had a hard time making friends there. Like I went there, I walked around, I talked to some people. It was fun, and I genuinely had a good time. I bought some weed, and shrooms were legal, and so I bought some of that. I think they were at the time. They're legal now, though. That's all that matters. But I got some shrooms while I was there. I was very excited about that. I had shrooms before, but not like a proportionate amount, because I'm a big guy. So, and I had only taken a small amount because I didn't know how it was going to hit me, and I had a lot more weed in my system than shrooms at that time. So I didn't know what to make of that first experience. But this time at Rainbow Farms, I knew I was going to have some kind of experience on shrooms, and I was excited to try it out. And I was excited because I've heard that it was a good party atmosphere, uh, in like and but unfortunately, coming off of a work week and being exhausted and used to uh, first shift hours, by the time 9, 10 o'clock rolled around and the party hadn't started yet, if there was one, there may have been one. Because at around 9 or 10, I got tired and ended up going to my car for the night. And I missed whatever action there was that happened that night. And I was disappointed, but I had my shrooms on me. Turns out, okay, I will say, turns out I found out the next day that there had been some fun times going on that I had completely gone to bed early and missed out on. And I felt like such an idiot. Oh, but let me tell you about the actual experience that I had, because that was the gist of the whole time that I was there, the most memorable part. So I have my weed and my shrooms, and I go to bed, or I'm going to bed, and I, I don't know what to expect from shrooms. I think that at the time I am thinking that there will be hallucinations, and that's partially what I'm hoping for, because I kind of want a spiritual experience, but I'm open to a casual, fun, happy experience, whatever happens, you know. And so I'm in the right zone for it, everything, and I eat some shrooms as I'm going to sleep, and I'm waiting for them to kick in, right? And nothing happens. After a while, maybe I was probably impatient, um, and time was probably, because you know how when you're stoned, it makes time feel a lot slower. In a sense, I think it's actually making you think faster, and that's why everything seems slower. That's my personal theory on it. But and it makes people seem slower getting their words out and thinking of stuff, because that's just how fast their minds are going on weed. You're so fast that you're slowed down and chill. Tripping concept, but I feel, if there was such a thing as drunken martial arts, I believe there could potentially be such a thing as marijuana martial arts. Just saying. Where was I? Oh yes, shrooms. So I ended up eating all the shrooms before I go to sleep, and nothing happens. I don't have any crazy ass dreams or anything, and I don't trip before falling asleep. And I wake up in the morning. I'm feeling kind of disappointed as fuck that there wasn't, or at least I was thinking at the time there wasn't a party, and that I had bought bogus shrooms. And I mean, yeah, I had some weed to take home and share with my friends and family and stuff, and that was cool. And I had met some nice people while I was there, but that at that moment it was feeling like that's all I had gotten out of it, just some weed and just a handful of good conversations. And I got my chair out, sitting by my car, smoking my weed and my bong, and trying to not let the disappointment get to me, because it's the weekend and I got to go back to work the next day. and because I got to leave that day and shit. So I'm like, I'm trying not to be upset about my weekend partially being ruined because it was a 3 hour drive out there. That was some gas, and now it's even more expensive. And while I'm in that fucking kind of mood, and I'm like eating, just eating my breakfast that I brought with me, out of fucking nowhere, I'm hit in the gut. This is the best way I can describe it. I am hit in the gut of my emotions so hard that it's that feeling you get when you are so emotionally in pain that it translates also into physical pain. So I was feeling the emotion. The emotion hit. It's like the emotion of just like sadness and sorrow and pain all rolled into one. Just like hit me so hard that it hurt, and I didn't know if I was having a heart attack or what was happening. I wasn't thinking it was the shrooms. I really wasn't. Totally wasn't. But I wasn't thinking that it was. And I was just knocked the fuck off of my rocker. And I'm sitting there and I'm crying. And I cannot figure out why. I'm trying not to be loud because it's in the morning. Some people are like pass out in their vehicles. I don't know who and shit, but I just don't want to wake anyone up. And plus, I'm a guy. I don't want to embarrass myself. Dude fucking crying over here next to his car and shit. I don't need that kind of fucking attention in my life. And so I'm like, but it is so intense and everything that all I can do is to not to hide it, is to like not let any sound out. But that's it. I can't hide it otherwise. Like I'm hunched over and like it was crazy. And I was asking myself, why is this happening? What's going on? And maybe my mind started going toward, but my mind did start going towards the shrooms eventually, but it didn't make sense to me because I was expecting some kind of visuals to be going along with this shit. If I was gonna have a bad trip, I was expecting to see something. Feel like I'm not on planet Earth anymore, but I was totally fucking here. I was fucking here in my chair. And I was stuck. I was physically stuck because of how much I was crying and how much emotional pain I was in. And I was like, I was just asking myself over and over, like I couldn't help it because I was so confused. I was like, why is this happening? What's going on? And I got hit with a response. An answer popped into my head seemingly out of nowhere from it wasn't from me. And it just slapped me in the face, like right in my forehead. And it was just 4 words that repeated themselves over and over again. And it was, stop being a stormtrooper. That's what it said. Stop being a stormtrooper. Not in reference to World War II stormtroopers, even though that's what these were based off of, in reference to the stormtroopers from Star Wars. And, it took me a long time to figure out what the fuck this meant. Because, I'm not an evil person. I don't go out of my way to harm people. I don't you know, I'm not out to dictate. I'm not out to rule and make people do what I tell them, whether they want to do it or not. I'm not like that. That's not the type of person that I am or that I want to be. And I couldn't understand. I've always liked Star Wars. And as I got older, I liked the Empire in some ways, a lot of ways. Not for their bad aspects, but there are some things about villains that are cool. Okay, and you know when you know how to dress, it does something. Okay, aesthetics are fucking cool. It's part of why I'm particular about how I dress, because I know, you know, it means something. You know, the things I choose, they mean something to me, but there's also aesthetics to it. You know, I don't want to dress like a trend. I want to dress like me. You know, and so that's how I choose how I dress. But like when you create an entire empire off of that and you make it all look good, it makes you want to be like, ooh, I want to dress like that. Like you see a good trend, you see a good fashion style. You know, you might see my bowler hat and be like, "Ooh, I want to wear that," and you know that's you know, like, please don't be exactly like me. Be yourself. But you know, you see something cool that you know you feel that is like it's spiffy, it's nice, you know, and it's even better when it's on a good person. But when it's on a bad person, it's still art. It's still a uniform that looks good. Sorry. This is just how it is. Like, I do not support anything that the Nazis did, but everyone agrees that they had a nice uniform, and that is how the stormtroopers of Star Wars were designed and made after. And so what was, if you know, sorry, I had to go on that tangent to defend myself. Because I'm an artist, you know. I like art when I see art, when it's good art. When I, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but, you know. And everyone's got their own opinion, but you know, art is art. When it's not hurting anyone and it's just a picture, it looks nice. When it's just a uniform and it's not hurting one, it still looks nice. You know. Sorry, I'm not a. Oh man. And you know, the what was that voice trying to tell me though? What did I discover that voice was trying to say in not being a stormtrooper? Well, over time, after I left and everything, left Rainbow Farms, over the course of the next about year and a half of thinking about it and pondering it, I realized that what that voice was trying to tell me, don't be a stormtrooper, is that even though I was opening up and being more and being different, I wasn't being a stormtrooper, but there were still parts about me that were aspects that were where I was too strict on myself, too strict on others, holding them to too high of a standard, holding myself to too high of a standard in certain ways, and to be just more relaxed, to be more laid back, and to just let go, to just live, and to let live. I already believed in that, but I was still so wound up in certain parts of me that I didn't even realize. And it's like this voice was telling me, it's like, hey, you need to wake up, you need to double check yourself, you need to start observing how you talk to other people, how you look at them, how you look at yourself, and you need to just understand where people are at in their journeys, and that it's going to be different for everyone, and that you need to take it easy on yourself, and you need to take it easy on others, and you need to be able to relate more and stop being as uptight as you are, even though you think you're not. You need to be even less uptight, because you are. That's basically what they were telling me. And I started paying attention to how I would talk to people on social media, and would start to feel guilty about, when I would be more rude than I needed to be. And then it got to the point where I realized maybe I just don't need to be rude at all. Maybe I just don't need to cuss someone out. Maybe I can talk in a more gentle and open-minded and understanding manner to where we can actually have a conversation instead of just throwing swear words and insults back and forth at each other. Nothing against swear words. I love swear words. But when you're trying to have an open conversation or you're trying to convince someone of your perspective, you have to show, you have to keep showing respect if you want to continue to have any hope of them being on your side in the future. And even if they're not going to be on your side, if it's something that you can agree to disagree with, then look towards the other things that you can agree with and get along with. Because we have so much more in common with each other than we realize when we get down to our very basic human individual needs. And being a stormtrooper is telling other people for them how they need to live, how they need to behave. And, it is important that we educate each other, that we help each other. That's why I do these videos, because I want to help. But at the same time, you need to be able to grow on your own and be able to absorb what other people tell you and compare it and weigh it on your own and not be a stormtrooper yourself. You need to be able to create your own perspective of the world, because your unique perspective, yes, your commonalities are what's going to help you in getting along with and surviving in this world, but your uniquenesses and your individuality is what is going to make you shine all the more, and at your peak. But it is your commonality with humanity that needs to be your foundation, because that's what will hold you up, and then your individuality, your uniqueness will spike your inner star. Hopefully you understood that. That was tripping. So about a year goes by. I didn't go back the next year. So I guess maybe 2 years or whatever. There was a year gap in there. I start doing more tarot reading. I get more familiar with that. I was able to build some. Yeah. Because that was this past year that I went. I was able to build up my confidence with tarot reading and everything, and practice it with friends, and some individuals that we were skeptical on our own, but we would we would test. I guess you could say test the cards, look for what the cards would say about, we were basically just learning together about, how real the tarot cards were, how they worked for us, individually, because it's a little bit different for everyone that uses them. And I got to the point to where I could read my tarot cards pretty well, and my intuition with my guides that I have. And as my spiritual connection increased, along my journey and my path, my guides ended up suggesting to me that I go back to Rainbow Farms and offer my tarot reading services there in exchange for weed or whatever else, or money, or whatever anyone was willing to give me. And And honestly, I am like like you've watched my videos. I'm an introvert. This is weird for me doing this. Just asking me to do this type of shit for complete strangers is huge and kind of a scary thing for me. And it was a thought that my guides had been bringing to me before, but I kept pushing it off because like I didn't really want to do it. I didn't like the idea of asking for money or for anything in return for flipping cards for someone and reading their fortune, because I didn't, my confidence in it, up to that point still wasn't, and in myself wasn't fully developed yet. But, and I was also partially in denial from all the evidence that I'd seen in my life of everything the cards telling me coming true and stuff. So I was just dealing with a lot of self-doubt, but I was overwhelmed enough with personal experience and evidence to where I finally said, all right, fine. I will get out of my comfort zone. I will go back to Rainbow Farms, even though I didn't have the greatest, fantastic of times last time. And I don't know how I'm going to do this. I hope I don't get in trouble. I don't want to do that. But the people were really nice out there. They seemed like they would be the type that would be open to that sort of thing, even though I wasn't completely sure. I was so nervous and scared. But I decided, okay, I'll do it. It was relaxing out there. It was nice. And, during the daytime and everything, walking around there, and the weed was a fantastic price as well, I should say. And I was like, you know what, maybe another chance at mushrooms will be a better experience and everything if I'm in a better prepared mindset for it. And so I made myself go. And back to Rainbow Farms I went. And this time, instead of sleeping in my car, I brought my cot with me, and I didn't have a tent, but I checked the weather, and it wasn't going to rain, so I decided I would take a cot and some blankets and stuff, and just sleep outside under the stars. And boy, let me tell you, those 2 nights that I did that, oh my god, it was so awesome. When it's not raining and the weather's beautiful, you should totally do that yourself sometime. Get a cot and some blankets and stuff and a pillow, and just go out somewhere where you know that's safe. A good campground. Rainbow Farms if you're in the area, and just sleep out under the stars. It is, or just even under a tree, and just it's beautiful. There's nothing like it, especially when you're stoned. But I took my stuff back with me, and the first evening I arrived. I was there for the full weekend. First time I wasn't. I got there on a Saturday the first time, so I was only there for one night, I think. Pretty sure. And they did party that night. But this night, because that was in August. This time, when I went back, I hadn't paid attention this time when I was coming back, and when I went last time, because this time, when I came back to Rainbow Farms, it was the 4th of July weekend. And for this particular weekend, an event, it was family friendly, meaning there were children there. Meaning, not as much of a party atmosphere. Yeah. So, once again, I missed out on a potentially party-ass time. Maybe. Well, well, I'll tell you about I haven't told you the full story of the third event yet, but I will get to the third time I went, but we'll get to that in a second. Woo! But yeah, for a second time, I missed a serious party night. But if you've been following my channel, you will know that this event was also the event where I met my business partner. We're coming to that. Oh man. Now, fucking, we'll get to that. We'll get to that now. So I was there the first night. Nothing really major happened. I didn't really meet anyone. I was still coming out of my box. I was kind of dressed like this in my hat and my vest and everything. I was like super, like, I was out trying to be my most chillaxed and laid back and everything. And I was still so nervous about approaching people. I still wasn't fully aware of the friendliness level of this place. But I was gonna find out this time. So next morning, I wake up, I have some shrooms. They're playing some music. They got a local singer going. Oh my God, I gotta tell you about this singer real quick. Like, I like country music. But there's certain types and certain styles that I'm not really into. Every genre has their styles that certain people aren't into. They like the majority, but just not that little particular slice. And there wasn't, I didn't really have anything against this particular slice of country. But the way this guy would sing, he was clearly mimicking a singer who did this in his singing style. I couldn't tell you because I don't follow artists and stuff. Sorry. I enjoy too much variety out there to be able to keep track of everyone. But oh my God, I was on shrooms. Okay, I'd gotten into meditating by this point. Well, I mean, this is fairly recent. So like, I was into meditating and everything by then, and like I was having good experiences on shrooms now. By the way, those shrooms that I got there, it was great. I was having a good time, even by myself and on my own, just meditating and shit. It was fun. I was like teaching myself how to build a proper campfire and shit while high and everything. It was great. I felt so fucking independent and like a caveman. All I was missing was fucking hot dogs and a stick to cook them on. Or a big hunk of venison. But the next morning, this country singer started singing, local guy, and just the way he would sing. I can't tell you what the song was. I was on shrooms and I was too distracted by it, so I'm just gonna make it up as I go along. But you know how we're just gonna stereotype a living fuck out of it just for fun. I lost my dog and my truck and my girl. But this guy was the way this guy would do it. I just have to do it for you. There's no other way. I lost my dog and my girl and my truck and everything. He would have these streaks where he would sing so beautifully, and then he would go like the ho ho ho, and he would just throw it in so many words here and there. And when you're on shrooms, it fucking fucks you in the head. Like pounding nails on a chalkboard, but you couldn't predict when the pounding would come into your skull. With a huh, and you didn't know whether to laugh or to scream for it to stop. Good luck to that man. I hope he. I genuinely hope he improves and becomes an even greater singer than and more popular of a singer than he already is. Best of luck to him, whoever he is. But later on that morning, I decided to read my cards because it was getting on in the day through Saturday and in the morning, and I hadn't really met anyone yet. I had my sign out, but I was nervous about advertising it, and I was like keeping it kind of low key because I was still scared about getting in trouble and stuff, and like I was just nervous as fuck. And I'm tall and I'm fit, and I'm at a place with weed and shrooms, with covered in tats, and that's with long hair, and that can make me look sus to the wrong people who are extra timid and shy and fearful. To other people who know how to read other people, I'm not. I'm not. You can tell. But people, I'm learning more and more that when you get out there and you meet people and you're just open and honest, you find out that most people are a lot friendlier and open themselves than you give them credit for. Most of them, not everyone. And there is a lot higher strain of shyer people these days, but it's when you just open up just a little bit, it's amazing how much you can discover that you have in common with other people, no matter how crazy differences you might have. Getting off track again, sorry. I get the desire to ask my cards about my next customer. My first customer, actually, because I hadn't had one yet. And so I asked my tarot cards to describe my first customer to me, and it actually did. It laid out a description of them. And while I was trying to distill a reading on who the next customer after would be, which I never fully figured out, but was because I was cut off in the middle of it by the daughter of the first customer. This description that I had of the first customer was going to be that she was generous. Well, yeah, that first of all that it would be a woman, that she would be generous, that she would have children, and that she would not necessarily be wealthy, but would have how do you say it? Not financially wealthy, but wealthy in many different ways. And that's kind of all I was kind of able to distill out of it. At least that I can recall at the time. I'm trying to get better with my memory, but that's all I can recall for certain at the moment. But that was the description of her, and so I read it and I was like, oh wow, that's cool. And so like I'm doing the next reading, and literally her daughter, she has a couple kids, but her younger daughter comes running over and like sees my cards, and they're all colorful and stuff, and like the ones I'm using are like the most colorful with witches on them. I don't have them anymore. We'll get to that. It was, but yeah, and then the mother comes chasing after her daughter, and she sees me and the cards, and she says, "Oh, you do tarot reading? Like I saw your sign up on the hill where you were at." And I was like, where I parked my cot was like way out of the fucking way, like back in a corner, like trying not to advertise too much. It was Yeah, but she had still seen it, and she asked me to come do a reading for her, and everything, and that lady was Jazz, and um, she had told me about how she loved to vend, and how this was literally her first time out there, and she was going through a lot of hard times, but being out in this environment, out in the woods, vending, and everything, like that was one of her, that was what she wanted to do full time, and it was her first time there at Rainbow Farms. I've talked a little bit about her unique aspects that she's able to bring there as a vendor that others can't, but with cigarettes specifically. Um, and and when she met me, and after she asked me to do a reading for her, and she said she would feed me, and food. She had a boyfriend. Uh, um, but she literally shared. They all shared their food and everything, and invited me to like share their like camping space and everything. And then she was like, "Would you be willing to, do your tarot reading alongside with me as an attraction?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, literally the first person at this place that I did a reading for asked me to do this. No one else, like this wasn't suggested to me by my friends to do it for money. It wasn't suggested by anyone I knew, other than my mind. The outside voices coming into my mind, my guides telling me to consider it, and me saying, I don't really want to think about it right now, or I'm too nervous about it. I don't really want to. I'm scared, basically. And here I was, finally listening to my guides, putting myself out there, offering to trade my readings for weed or whatever, not necessarily money. And here I was being after doing a reading for Jazz. It was so on point enough for her that she asked me to do this, and I was like, and they're like, yeah. So yeah, needless to say, we hit it off pretty well. It was great. I had some more shrooms and some other stuff I won't talk about to heighten the experience. Nothing that made me see anything, but practically just more shrooms. And I moved my my camping spot over to their spot and everything. We hung out that night, 4th of July night, Saturday. It was a great time. We got along and everything. It was great. We had a really awesome time together. With her and her friends, her boyfriend and everything, and I got to do another reading the next day. Um, but like the biggest in touch experience that I want to get to is this part right here. So the vast majority of this Saturday that I'm hanging out with Jazz and my new friends and everything, having a great time, great conversation. As talkative as she is, I mostly did just listening. But great conversation too. Great listening to other people talk and everything. You learn so much when you just listen. Honestly, I mean, it's hard for me to open up and keep myself talking and be extroverted with other people. It's so easy for me to shut down. And, cause like, yes, you can see how distracted I get here. But you guys, you've watched my videos, you know I have interesting stories to tell. That's just how I open cans. You know why? Because one time, well, okay, for one thing, I like to keep my nails short. I like to bite them, keep them clean, and everything. Not like bite them all the way down, but relatively short. Anyways, one time when I was a kid, while trying to open one of these, I slipped my finger open and was bleeding like crazy from that. And I never wanted to do that again. From then on, I always found something else, either my teeth or, which you got to be careful doing, but either my teeth or finding something else to pry it open with, because fuck using my finger and fingernail. I brought a horn for a reason, damn it. I don't know why I like drinking out of a can, though. I kind of enjoy it. It is different. It's different from glass, but it beats plastic. But there's nothing like drinking out of a horn. So, this whole time, on Saturday, I am on shrooms. And it's coming down to, because that's when 4th of July was, on a Saturday. And they were getting ready to do fireworks that night. I'm personally not really tremendously big into fireworks, but I was gonna go see them originally. But I'm meditating on and off throughout the day because I've been combining weed and meditation a lot. I've learned that a lot of spiritual practices, usually it's ayahuasca, but I figured, you know what, if I can't have ayahuasca or whatever, I will use weed and get as close as I can while meditating to that effect, to try and, tap into that spiritual consciousness better as best I can. So that's kind of how I treat weed. I don't use it I use it recreationally and medicinally, but also religiously. If that makes any sense. But yeah, and so that's what I was doing with shrooms, and meditating sometimes when everyone else was busy, because they were running a shop and shit. So they'd be busy and stuff. And I'd be left alone, and it was great. The back and forth was good for me. And while I was meditating, I got the inspiration to not go to the fireworks and to try some things out that I heard about and that were kind of like really, really vibing with me. It felt strongly like it was something I really wanted to do. Even though it was brand new, kind of, to me. I heard about, and I'm still learning and researching it, but I heard about how a theory that humans did not, there's a they did not originally walk upright. That our bodies were not designed to do that entirely. And that physically we should be capable of running on all fours. As well as when walking, to not walk on our heels, but only on the front halves of our feet. And like it was just things I was mulling over in my brain and thinking about, and trying a little bit out, just the foot part of standing on my feet, on the front of my feet, and seeing how that felt and everything. Yeah, it messes with your balance a little bit at first when you're not used to it. But then I discovered when you do it for just a little bit long enough and you have just enough of a base, of a foundation for feet, if you have, I think anyone can do it with just a little bit of practice and like holding on to something, but you realize you actually have a lot more agility by staying on the front halves of your feet than resting on the back halves entirely of walking that way. It's just, there's something different about it. And when you walk without that support under your heels and you keep your heel up off the ground, there's something different about it. Like your spine, like it keeps your spine more loose because your heels aren't hitting the ground every time you take a step. So and it works the back of your calves a little bit, so it's healthy for you. And it's not that big of an adjustment for natural walking, but it does make you actually feel a little bit more confident too. That I have discovered from practicing. And that's since then. It's spilled by drink again. But so these thoughts were circulating in my head, coming back to me while I was meditating on weed and shrooms, and no, there was no alcohol this time. Just weed and shrooms and such. I decided to follow my intuition and go to my car instead of to the fireworks, and opened the hatch in the back of my Caliber and I meditated there for a while in the back. And it was something I had done before, so it wasn't foreign to me, but I had never done it on this particular concoction of narcotics. But as I meditated, how do I say it? And still makes sense, without sounding crazy. I was meditating, and I got into this zone of some people in the esoterical circles, pagan witch circles, shamans and such, call it channeling. My personal spirit animal is the wolf. It's partially why I named even before I believed in the supernatural, I felt so akin to wolves, not as a furry, but as a respect, I always felt a strong connection to them, a really, really strong respect for wolves from a young age. And that's what I named myself, my last name, Free Wolf, after when I changed my name legally. And while meditating, it was actually the second time I had done this, I channeled my wolf self, and I allowed it to come into me, to feel, as I meditated, feeling one with nature and everything, and being out there. And as everyone was off doing their fireworks, watching the fireworks and enjoying them, I didn't watch them at all. I followed the flow, going with my intuition. And for the first time ever, I climbed out of my car on all fours, just hat and shorts, bare feet and hands, and just went. I tried. I went for the as full of a natural feeling as I could find, and as I was strong enough because I had been working out for it to not feel like a tremendous workout at the time, so it was good. But it was but it was still just a little bit of a workout for it to feel good as well. Um, but not so much to where it fatigued me, and I was able to, and I just walked on all fours, my hands in the front halves of my feet, across this dark, grassy field surrounded by a tree line. And there was a full moon going, and I wanted to howl when I stopped and looked at it. But I didn't because of fireworks and people nearby. Didn't want to scare the shit out of them, making them think there was a lunatic or an actual wolf on the loose or anything. And I stayed out there in that field the whole time the fireworks were going, which was a pretty good minute, just crawling around and feeling the earth and getting in touch with it, feeling it, and even rolling across my back, just feeling the earth. It felt absolutely like there's nothing like it. I highly recommend. I highly recommend if you've ever. You don't have to try the wolf spirit. It's do whatever animal connects you with Earth the most. And no, I don't like wearing the suits. No, not the full suits. Screw that. I'm not into that. Okay. I'm kinky. I'm weird. I get into some kinky shit. All right, but I don't do the full fur suits. That's a little much, including a little expensive. Shit. A little too much maintenance. But going out there, just being in the earth and everything, shit, while I was walking back from my car and putting everything away, I was so in the zone of feeling like an animal, feeling like a wolf. Like I wanted to hunt almost. And to the point to where as I was walking back to join everyone else, I saw a mouse run across the parking road of dirt. And I froze. And I was walking on the front halves of my feet, I froze when I saw it, and it kind of froze. And I immediately I launched into all fours to go after. I didn't even it was reactionary. I wasn't thinking like a human at all. I was going after it. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I just wanted to fucking chase it like a fucking animal. And I tripped in everything, and I didn't while I was in the motion of lurching forward, my human mind was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And my legs skidded to a halt, and I lurched halfway forward and caught myself with one hand and everything. I was like, oh fuck, and was did anyone see that shit? Fuck, it was crazy. It was no, and it was, and I went back and I joined everyone else, and I was actually trying, there were being feeling almost feeling I was feeling like human wasn't complete. I was feeling like the proper name we should be calling ourselves is humanimal. Not human, not animal, humanimal. That's just we're both. At the end of the day, we're all both. we're human, but you're some kind of beastly ass nature as fuck animal on the inside. Whatever fits you. You got both. You got both in you. I've been around enough, and that night I could feel it in me. I could feel the connection like nothing else. And at least with Mother Nature, I'm still learning to feel that connection with other people. I'm getting there. I am getting there. But that was the big thing for me at my second visit was connecting to Mother Nature and my inner self. And it was that second time, like, I wasn't okay. Up to that point, I had been back and forth about whether or not my first trip to Rainbow Farms had been healing for me. During this visit, I became dead certain that it was healing for me, and that this second visit was an even bigger boost of healing for me. Or at least it wasn't fucking painful. It wasn't a kick in the head facts of reality to make it emotionally hurt. So maybe that's why it felt so much bigger. But yes it was. It was one of the most healing things I ever experienced. And yeah, I was able to do a tarot reading for someone else while I was there. And they liked it too. And I'm friends with them now. They are or were workers there. I don't know. They live there on the property somewhere. They're awesome. And I'm not gonna say who they were, but we had a threesome. And best threesome I ever had to date. Not the first one I had, but the best one I've had. I mean, it was also the second one I had. But it was seriously good quality. Bless them. And like I didn't ask for payment from them for my readings that I gave to them. But I figured that was like the universe, like, just being like, congratulations for opening the fuck up. And I'm just like, oh. Okay. Who am I to say no? Now, I should give a fair warning. This is not saying that you will have a threesome if you ever go to Rainbow Farms. And this is also not saying you will have a supernatural, enlightening experience. It's not guaranteeing that you will have either of those. Okay? But it's also not guaranteeing that you won't. It is a wonderful place. But yeah, so like, don't get your fucking hopes up when you go there. But just be open. All right, just go there to chill, and be yourself, and be in touch with nature when you go. All right. Last story. So there is a crap ton of stuff surrounding this weekend that occurs. at Rainbow Farms leading up to it. Just if you've seen my recent videos, drama with my shit at work, at my job. And then in addition to that, before I even got to the weekend, that I was invited to Vendat, my very first one ever, which I was so super excited about. I took the entire week off. I took my vacation off before then to rest up for it, just for it, and to make art in order to advertise and sell there, because I make art too. Fuck, have I linked my Instagram with this yet? I need to get back to that. Make sure that it's in here. I need to change my Instagram name so you can find it a little bit easier than the one I have now, because it's not as easy to remember right now. But I will make it to be similar to match my YouTube channel name. These trunks are amazing! Sorry, I kind of ripped that off from another channel that I watch occasionally. From an ad they do from their own stuff where these socks are amazing. Is it Matt Pat? Is it Matt Pat? Game Theory? Is that who that is? I gotta do a shout out to my favorite channel sometime. I got it. But okay, sorry, back to the story. Alright. So, in addition to the drama from my work, I have shit pop up into my life. My niece needs help with shit, my nephew needs help with shit, and then my business partner forgets to bring stuff to the camp that I have, but is in the sink and needs to be cleaned first before I bring. And not that I've been lazy, but I wasn't planning on having all this shit dumped onto me within like the last 5 hours of me going to Rainbow Farms. So, because I wasn't planning on having all this shit dumped on me in the last 5 hours, in addition to all that shit, I also had to print out the art that I was going to sell, which I didn't really sell. I discovered that I think I set my prices up a wee bit too fucking high for my first time. But I didn't know what the fuck I was doing at the time. I hadn't put a lot of thought into my pricing and shit. And so it made perfect sense why I didn't really make much. And then in addition to that, oh yes, it gets even better. I get to Rainbow Farms, right? Ended up setting my tent up 3 different times before I ended up getting it into the right position where it ended up being for the entire weekend. So that was slightly annoying. And then it fucking rained. It was forecasted to rain just a little bit. But then it did the whole shebang to where when it rained, my art I had on display to sell, I put it away. When the rain came, the rain went away. I got my art out. The rain came back. I put my art away. The rain went away. I take my art out. The rain comes back. I put my art away. The rain goes away. And then I finally learned my fucking lesson. I will leave my art put away. Motherfucker. And then it rained again in the middle of the night. So, needless to say, because it was forecasted to rain a bit during that weekend, traffic was slower than it would have been on a non-rainy weekend in August. So, you know, I didn't make nearly as much money as I was hoping for. I barely made enough. And that was including asking for a refund from stuff that I was asked to pick up from the store. It was all barely enough to get me through with gas. And then I still owe my sister $20 for gas to get me through to my paycheck that I just got, because my job changed their vacation policy to where, well, I'm not going to get into that. Basically, they screwed people and out of vacation money that we fucking deserve. See my previous videos about that, because I think I mentioned it in the very last one I did. Anyways, so I am under a lot of fucking stress and anxiety at Rainbow Farms this time. Like, this is not as bad as my first time, but this is not as fun as my second time either, so to speak, at the beginning. Okay? Because I went through a lot of fucking stress before I was finally relaxed at Rainbow Farms. Unfortunately, I had enough money to be able to pick up some beer called, I believe they were called Four Giants. What kind of beer were they? They were IPAs. IPA Four Giants beer. Comes in a 4-pack, about the same size as one of these, but these are bitches in comparison. These are 5%. Those fuckers were 9% alcohol. I am just now at 9% alcohol, because these two together were fucking 10. I can do math, motherfucker. Sorry. Wee bit faded. Where was I had to shut the camera off and everything and like refocus to find my place again. But we're good now. Alright, so I'm stressed the fuck out, but then I finally get some shrooms and some weed and some beer in my system. All perfectly legal substances. The particular shrooms, in fact, oh man, I wish I could remember. I would totally throw out a free sponsorship for a free shout out to them if I could remember. I'll be honest, I didn't read what the name of their company was, but these were chocolate bars infused with shrooms. And they were good. They were good. Oh man. Happy memories. Ooh. Huh. But yeah, so I had that and weed and 9% IPA beer that I kind of had to take at a slow rate because of how fucking strong and good that shit was. Woo! And I drank it out of my horn while I was there. And if you saw the video, I was in my regular outfit pretty much the whole weekend. The hat, the pants mainly, and the weather kept going up and down, so I had my jacket, and I also had some other shit kind of that I also had. But stayed mostly in my YouTube channel business uniform. So I finally got all that concoction in me, and then I was finally much more chill. I was ready to make that video that you saw. Yeah, up till that video that you guys watched a couple videos back, I was stressed the fuck out. But yeah. And then, so I made that video that you guys saw, or that you can go see a couple videos back. And I made that sign that you guys saw. And I wasn't getting any customers for a good minute. I really wasn't. I was having some good conversations. I was going for some walks, meeting some people. I really had to work I'm kind of, it sucks how worked up that I got in that short amount of time because of all that shit that got piled on me at the last second. I'm a little ashamed of how stressed I was then, to be honest. But I still ended up having a good time. And I ended up being okay to where I was able to make that video because I remembered you guys and didn't want to leave you guys out of it. And I got a reading from that lady, the Green Witch, I believe. She was really cool. She gave a fantastic reading. If you ever go to Rainbow Farms and you see her tent there, you should get a reading from her. We swapped readings with each other. It was great. But I didn't. Yeah, I made barely enough money over that weekend, but shit. Over that night, when that oh my gosh, when that night arrived and I had a couple of those giants in me, I only ended up having 2 because I realized I would have been way too drunk to drink all 4. And I was able to get Jazz's boyfriend to drink 2 of them. Thankfully, I would have not been in good condition if I drank those other 2. Much less 1 more than the 2 that I had. Woo! But then I ended up finally getting loose enough by that evening to where I just left my tent, and when the music was going, I was like, okay, there's not really gonna be any serious traffic because everyone that's here is here to see New Breed mostly, or to sell to the people that are here to see New Breed. So I left my station, my tent, and shit, and I was like, all right, Jazz, I'll see you. I'm gonna go hang out with the crowd. Or maybe I forgot to say that. I don't know. But whatever. I went over, I hung out, had a beer, had a horn, a fucking hat and shit. Man, I was like the most me weird self I've ever been. And I just went over there and I vibed with the music. When I heard about New Breed 4th of July weekend, I hadn't heard about him before that time. And I had heard of country rap. I hadn't heard of different genres of it, but I'd heard of it in general, and I wasn't into it. That's funny, I mentioned that earlier on in the video. Oh yeah, that fucking that was the sound. That was the fucking sound. That was the sound right there. Oh, that wasn't as good. You can play it back and hear it again. These guys weren't like that. These dudes were like the gangster / country slash rap. What they call, fuck, what was it? Hick hop. That's what it's called, hick hop. Sounds a little too close to hiccup, if you ask me. Hick hop, hiccup, hick hop, hiccup, hiccup, hiccup. Sorry, all right. Someone needs to make a fucking rap song about it now, and it should probably have a fucking country accent to it. You know what I mean? Anyways, between 4th of July and August 13th, when these two Rainbow Farm stories occurred, I checked out New Breed, and they had some good shit. Not gonna lie, they got some good patriotic American shit. And I know a lot of you that are proud Americans would love it, would love their music. I'd love the things that he talks about. Definitely look up New Breed if you get a chance. And so I got into some of their music during this time, and I got amped up and excited, and I was, you know, I didn't even give a shit if I didn't give a reading to New Breed or any of his crew or whatever. I was excited just to be able to see them on stage. It wasn't even until later that the thought crossed my mind that I might meet them. I didn't. But the thought didn't even cross my mind later that the possibility was there, given the fact that we were both fucking there. Because I'm that much of a fucking idiot. I'm gonna come back to that for a reason. I'm saying that for a reason. But but I went over there, and they were playing some of the songs that I heard them play before. In fact, I think I've heard them play almost all the songs that I heard them play before. They got good shit. But man, I vibed the fuck out with their music. They got such good shit. Oh man, especially what's that song? This Is My House. I think that's what it's called. This is my country. This is my people. Pretty sure it's called This Is My House. Pretty sure that's what it's called. This Is My House. Great song. It's one of his biggest ones. It's got like 80 million views on YouTube, if not more by now. Fucking great song. Gosh, I don't even know any of the lyrics, and I'm already getting emotional just thinking of the memory of being there in the crowd and everyone and everything. It was so fucking amazing. Bringing tears to my eyes, almost like I'm fighting them back. Ugh. Such a good time. And thankfully I didn't say more than I did, but I think I embarrassed myself a little bit because I heard other music in listening to New Breed's music. I heard some other shit mixed in, and I think he's done some music with, I believe they're called Moccasin Creek. And one of Moccasin Creek's songs is called Big Dogs, which I fucking love. Love that song. But I was still so new to the genre, and they honestly sound so similar to New Breed, to me anyways, that I thought that song, Big Dogs, was New Breed's, and my dumbass, while I was there, was like, I mean, fuck, I was getting into the music, and like, I was thinking, like, these are the fucking guys that did Big Dogs. It's such a fucking awesome song in addition to all these other fucking awesome songs. Which, I was right about the other ones, but not Big Dogs. And like, I was like getting into the shit, and I was like, man, I hope they play Big Dogs. Moccasin Creek wasn't there. They weren't part of the show, so of course they didn't fucking play Big Dogs. And my fucking dumbass self would sometimes shout out for them to play Big Dogs. That's all I would say, just Big Dogs. That's all I would say. And then occasionally, with some songs, they do actually occasionally do the roof song, or the roof, yeah, that sound, in some of their songs. New Breed does, in like certain ones. And of course they do it in the Big Dogs song too. They do it more in that one. And they did ended up doing the roof song for some of the songs that they did in New Breed while we were there, for that event. It was fucking awesome. Awesome. Oh man. And I wish Moccasin Creek had been there to do Big Dogs, but they weren't, so I just embarrassed the shit out of myself. But then I still had a great time afterwards, and I hung out with some really cool people, and it wasn't until then, late at night, after the show was over, I thought the show would go on so much later than it would, but it didn't. But I hung out with some really cool people by the big ass campfire that they have there, and still wasn't at that level still wasn't at that natural level of extroversion that I know I can tap into yet, that comes out of me when I'm stoned and drunk and on camera and by myself with no one to interrupt me. And sorry, I had apologies. Yeah, the conversations that I had with people, and I don't necessarily believe 100% of the things I hear. If you follow my channel, you know I'm not that type of person. The shit that I've been raised on and things that I've learned to let go of and I've had to change myself through and everything. And so you know me, I don't believe just what anyone says, but the conversations are just, I mean, even if the theories end up being false, if they're anything close to the truth, they're still fucking fascinating to listen to. I mean, come on, you gotta admit that much. And so I listened to some fascinating theories, like the theory that gravity might not even be real. Don't ask me to explain that one. But the dude I talked to, Chris, looks like a short, slightly younger version of Keanu Reeves. Guy I did a reading for. And he was happy with the reading that I gave him, and it lined up like he was, and like he wasn't even 100% in the esoterical thing, and like I can't remember if he paid me or not. I can't remember. But I think he did. Did he give me 20 or 5? I can't remember. I can't fucking remember. But he's a cool guy, and like whatever we agreed on or whatever, it was like fine with me, whatever. I can, or maybe he didn't give me anything. Maybe I just completely let it go. I can't remember. Whatever. I'm not fucking worried about it. But like I literally can't remember what we concluded on that shit. But because the conversation was that good, it was that genuine, and because that's what even though I can't remember it and recall it in 100% in detail, because my mind is not a recording device like that, and doesn't have, like, sometimes the photographic memory is better than the verbal audio memory, I guess you could say. The visual memory is like the best part of my memory. Like, really, my biggest challenge is just describing to you, remembering what I saw and what I felt, and doing and then like the hardest part is remembering what I heard and what we talked about. Like, I can still do it. That part is the most difficult, because words are so different and can like have different meaning, and like it's just like remembering the feeling of afterward of what you talked about, and like during the conversations, like how mind-blowing it was and everything. Like that part is what I remember the most about the conversations that I had. And then I met another guy, Justin, cool fella, cool young guy. did a reading for him the next day. I didn't even know if I would get to because we parted ways for a minute for like the whole evening. I didn't see him until like he was literally the last person I saw before I left. Like I told him like I would like and like he was and he wasn't the type of guy that I thought would be into tarot readings, to be honest. Like no one take this the wrong way because they're awesome people. 100%. I just wasn't raised like them, and some people take it the wrong way, but honestly, it should be considered a compliment. This motherfucker looked like a goddamn redneck, and he sounded like it. And he didn't, and like, honestly, for me, rednecks do not strike me as the type of people that would be into tarot readings. They strike me as people who go to church on Sunday, and all that shit. And so, this was a fucking mind trip for me. On top of the shrooms and weed and whatever else I had, I had alcohol in my system when I discovered he would be interested in getting a tarot reading from me. And I didn't have any alcohol in my system by the time I actually did give the reading to him. Can't say as much about the shrooms or the weed, though. But he was also very, very happy with my reading, and I ended up deciding not to charge him at all. Because it really meant a lot to him, and it just didn't seem like for him, for his situation and everything, it didn't feel right for me to press it for him. And I was just like, honestly, I felt paid enough in that moment just from the fact that he was happy and that he felt like he had confirmation in the direction in his life, and that made me happy because that's what I was getting out of the cards every time I've done it for me, and that's what I've experienced over time, and that's what my guides were encouraging me, and what I was scared to do and share with other people, and I was overcoming that fear. And I was giving that help. I was just being. I didn't even feel important. All I felt were like. I mean, I felt important, special per se, but I also didn't feel like I was like super that. So I felt like a conduit. I felt like something greater than me was helping someone else through me. It's fucking weird to say it. It's weird to admit it. But to be honest, there are people in every religion that feel this way. There are people in Christianity who feel this way. And it's a crazy thing to have in common. Because honestly, well, maybe not so much. Because helping people feels good. No matter what conduit we end up using. But the conduit, the methods that fit us individually the best to helping others, I've discovered is what brings us the most satisfaction. And that's what I ultimately learned from that time and experience at Rainbow Farms. I was in a really difficult financial spot. And like I'm not a greedy person. You don't hear me asking for money on this channel. And I've officially decided to not do Patreon anymore. Because that shit is just too complicated. That shit's just too much. There's too much shit to taking YouTube professionally like how other people do it. I just got to do it. I just got to do it my own style, my own fashion. And there are other talents that I can do that I am already more naturally gifted at, that I can do with time and practice, with my comedy, with my art, that I can attract attention with. Here I am trying to help people. I'm trying to encourage people to be their better selves. I want to do that with my art and with my comedy as well, my stand-up comedy specifically, because there's so many different kinds of comedy. But that's the number one thing that I learned. I was in such a financial pickle during that weekend. And I didn't make the amount of money that was equivalent to the amount of readings that I gave out. Yeah. You know, now I remember. Yeah, I didn't charge Chris either. I didn't charge Chris or Justin. I wanted them, yeah, because they were both in such tight situations themselves that I didn't feel right asking for money from them. And I gave one more reading to someone else I had never met before. Cool ass guy, Jeremy. Cool ass Viking motherfucker. Who I hope contacts me about that pagan seminar he's going to be doing. I gave him my business card and contact information. So, you know, you better contact me if you see this video, Jeremy. Because I still want to be there. But yeah, I did a reading for him. He was the only one, and he tipped me and everything. It was great. Great guy. There's one person that did pay me, and that was just enough. That was all I needed to get through. I was, I learned that, it wasn't, after everything, the bottom line, the universe was going to take care of me. I had to let go. I had to be willing to just give my gift that the universe had blessed me with. And if I did that, and I was just satisfied, if I chose to be satisfied with giving myself and opening myself to others and helping them as they needed it, that the universe would help me to where I would have enough. Not more than I needed. And yeah, it felt like by the skin of my teeth, financially. But you know what? If you've watched my story, that's the fucking story of my life. All I've ever done is try to do my best by my own conscience. And the universe has taken care of me. And that was the biggest thing I learned that weekend. I'm still learning, I'm still growing. This shit I learned last week. Fuck me, the shit I learned last night. Woo. That's not going to come out until a comedy special, I can tell you that much. But I'm still learning so much. My life is constantly getting better. Am I getting financially richer? No. Not yet. That's going to happen. That is going to happen. I am working to make that happen. It doesn't matter that my life has been difficult, or that my jobs have been, or that my bosses have been difficult, or that the economy has been difficult, I still got internet access, I still got a roof over my head, I still got a job, I got another fucking job, which I'll talk about more when it's locked into a hole. Yeah, I'll briefly mention it in one of my upcoming videos when we get to it. But yeah, that means I'm wrapping this one up. It's been an exciting ride for me from the very fucking beginning of my life. I'm 3 years old and on. And here we are, 2022. I'm in this world that's, some people are trying to tear it apart. The rest of us are just trying to hold it together. And that's something else I'm learning now. Is that my dream to build a charity for people with religious trauma syndrome. No, yeah, that's part of my personal calling in life. That's what I feel vibes with me the strongest, and it's what, honestly, I think if I were a bit more selfish, that's all I would focus on, is my own people. Because I feel like they're my people, they're my people I relate to the most. But there's everyone else too. And even though religious trauma syndrome isn't a massively popular and well-known thing right now, I mean, that's okay. It's the times. It's the times. The times always change. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help bring awareness to that shit. But it's for you guys too. It's so that you guys can avoid getting religious trauma syndrome yourself. So that you can help your kids avoid getting it. So that you can be smarter about life, just about anything in general. Because even though it may seem like such a weird and different thing for someone to have, because people don't talk about it, we still have shit in common, you and I. And, I mean, we all just want the world to be a better place. It's what we all want, in the end. That's what I'm all about. And I know that's why I guess in the end, maybe that's why I shouldn't talk about religious trauma every single time, and just continue being open to sharing what I've learned and what I continue to discover about the Bible and everything. I'm open to that. I'm open to just continuing to sharing and being myself, and whatever my intuition leads me to share. In addition to whatever you guys ask for that you want to know about. By all means, ask, and I shall do my best for you to receive. And that's where we're going to wrap this video up, my friends. So, hope you've enjoyed it. I apologize for the length of this video, and the wind if it's been overly blowing, and for the shock of seeing me without my usual uniform and beard. But welcome to chaos. Learn to be at peace with it. or die of worry and anxiety. Your choice. You can't stop chaos, but you can be your own order. Until next time, my friends, stay safe and farewell.